Good morning, everybody. KC3QPJ here. It is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, and coming to you now with my makeshift studio as opposed to my cell phone. Very little no cost to me since I'm on a budget here. And that's the whole point behind these videos, is to help people that are new hams and even veteran hams that are trying to get into the world of DMR and also, spread information about programming on radios and to do reviews. So before I get started, I'd like to let you know if there are any reviews that you would like me to do. If I have the equipment to do it, I will do the review for you. If you'd like to send me equipment and do a review for you, I'll do that as well. It does take time to test these things, as I do have a full-time job, and I'll do the best job that I can for anybody out there that's interested in the world of ham radio. I'm glad you guys are taking this journey with me, and today I do have a request video for a fellow ham operator that could actually hopefully be a little more intuitive, even though I'm not going to get too in-depth, but the basics of programming the Anytone 878 and 578. Bridgecom does do quite a few videos on the programming aspects of these radios, but they're oftentimes very hard to see. So I'm going to take you on the journey with me with this new software, and we're going to see how this turns out for everybody. So if the camera quality isn't great, just keep in mind this is a very inexpensive webcam, and I am in low light conditions with just sunlight to help me out today. So might get some better lighting in here soon. And once again, pardon the mess behind me. I tried to make it look as neat as possible. If y'all don't know, I've been remodeling my house, so that's neither here nor there. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and get into the 878 software, just so everybody can see what's going on. Actually, I'm going to do the 578 software. Now keep in mind, there are not very many differences between the two softwares. Unfortunately, Anytone did not make these softwares compatible with each other. So while they look exactly the same, one will not work for the other. So make sure if you have either radio, you're downloading the proper software. And when you're going to use your code plugs, download your code plugs or read from the radio, write from the radio, make sure you have and are using the software designated for that radio, because they aren't compatible, unfortunately. I don't know why they did that. So I do have my Anytone 578 plugged in, and we'll show you everything about that, and let's get started. So here we are on my desktop. I'm going to go ahead and up in this top left corner, this little icon is the same for the 578 and the 878. That little icon looks the same. As you can see down here, this is the icon I have for my 878. So we're going to get into the 578. Once it's open, they both look the same. There's no differences between the two as far as how it's formatted. So when it loads up, when it's loading, obviously you'll see this on your display, and it takes a minute for it to load up. I don't know why. I don't know why they designed the software that way. However, once you're into the software, whatever your last code plug was that you were working on will pop up in the screen. All your channels will be here. And I have a lot of my channels spread out, so that way when I'm creating different zones or I want to create a new channel, they don't really bleed over in each other. So you don't want to have an analog channel here, a digital channel here, and then another analog channel, or even a simplex thrown in. But there are some modifications that I do need to make to my software. So here's the first and most important thing I'm going to tell you, as I told you in the other video. Anytime you want to make changes to your code plug, you have to make sure that you read your radio first. You don't want to program, like the face the radio is programmable. Okay, you can utilize the radio face to program it in and save it to a channel and all that. Before you start downloading your new code plug or typing anything on the screen in this area to create a new part of your code plug, before you do any of that, you want to make sure that you read your radio. That's first and foremost. That's out of the box. That's before you do anything else. That way, anything that you've done on the face of that radio is automatically pulled up on your code plug. It will appear on your code plug and record it to your code plug. So then what you want to do is when you get into your code plug, you know you've read the radio. Okay, you're going to come up here and you've read from the radio. Okay, you can save the current file. Okay, so you go up here to the file in the top left hand corner and save what you wrote from the radio. Now generally anytime I make changes, I will save it to the old code plug. So you can save as, I'm going to cancel out of this. Here's my current code plug. The last time I worked on it was last month. Okay, so this is for the 578, and actually at the beginning of this month. So anything I import, I'm going to save to this file. That way I don't have to worry about reprogramming anything, and it'll pull all the information from the radio and automatically save it to your code plug. Okay, once you've read the radio, we're going to get out of that. Then you can start creating your channels. So we're going to first talk about your analog channels. Okay, now very simple, very straightforward. Let's go down here to a blank area. I'm going to scroll down just a bit. That's one page of a scroll down from the scroll over here on the right. Okay, let's go here to channel 39. Everybody see where my cursor is? Okay, so you double click on the receive frequency. Okay, your receive frequency comes up. Now obviously channel 4 was the last channel I was working on, so you want to name your channel. What do you want to name your channel? Okay, is it going to be the frequency number, or do you have a local hangout frequency you want to hang out on? Well, let's just call this, we'll call it Ragchew. Let's do Ratchet Jaw. Here we go. Ratchet Jaw. Alright, now you can capitalize it, whatever you want to do with it, you can do with it. Now, whatever your simplex frequency is some local frequencies up here in Maryland are 146.58. So your receiver will be that. Okay, and your transmit for simplex obviously is going to be the same frequency. So 146. Yeah, and you got to do the decimal points. It won't do it for you. So 0.58. All right. Now make sure your next step, you're going to come down 2 more boxes, your channel type. You're going to want to switch that to analog. And your transmit power, okay, this can always be changed by however you want to assign the buttons to the radio. That's going to be in another video. This video is mainly just to get you up and running with your channels, okay? So normally and generally, depending on where people are, on the Anytone 10 watts, we'll put mid, because it generally puts mid-range. So DMR mode is, we'll just put simplex for now because you're not going to be in DMR mode. Alright, and that's all you need for your simplex channel. Now, if you want to set up your own PL tones, you can do here. CTCS, then your PL tone codes will come up. And your encode is here as well, so we could do both, just for the heck of it. You don't need to do that, but, there you go. So, set your PL tones up. We're just going to leave them off. I don't know very many people that use PL tones for simplex unless they're trying to talk uninterrupted. Now, keep in mind, you will only hear people when you're using the PL tones as your radio is unkeying if there are other people on the frequency. However, they can hear you. PL tones for the new hams do not give you privacy. They are not privacy tones. Anything like that is basically considered encryption and illegal. In analog transmissions, you know, if you're trying to scramble a frequency or hide what you're trying to communicate about, it's illegal. So don't think those PL tones are going to do that for you. It's a little bit of information there for the new ham. So you got your new channel name, you have your frequency, you have your channel type, what power you want to start off with, your bandwidth. I think that's narrowband. I think 25K would be wideband. So it doesn't matter. We can do 25K. Okay, so that'll put you in wideband, which is more common in 2-meter transmissions than it is on 440, 70 centimeter. Most 70 centimeter, you're going to operate in narrowband transmissions, especially in GMRS. But you know, this is not a GMRS radio. So other than that, you're all set with this channel for Simplex. So very easy. You do not have to check any of this. Okay. Ptt Prohibit basically turns that into a channel that you can only monitor. So there's no point. Do not click Ptt Prohibit. None of this needs to be checked. So here's your first Simplex channel. So you're going to hit OK. Now make sure you always hit OK. If you hit next, your information's gone. So hit OK. And then now you see channel 39. Our ratchet jaw is right there. So no contact, no call, but my radio ID is still there. So there's your analog Simplex. Alright, now let me show you how to do it. I'm going to delete these off of my code plug when I'm done. Alright, now you can go ahead and let's try a repeater. We're going to do a local repeater. So we're going to give this the local repeater name. Alright, now you're still using the same thing as far as getting into your channel. What I did is I went here to channel 40, double click the first thing, receive frequency. We're going to name this the W3 FDK. Okay, that repeater comes in on 146.73.000. And just make sure you have the 3 zeros, because the software, you know, if you're not operating on an oblog frequency like 735 or 585, it's going to want those zeros in there. Now, the transmit frequency is 146.13.000. That sets your offset, your negative offset. So when you go to transmit, you're -6 kilohertz, and you're ready to go on the 14673 repeater. You'll be monitoring on the 14673, but you'll be transmitting on 14613. Once again, come in here, change it to analog. DMR repeater, it's a repeater, but it's not DMR. I don't know why this keeps coming up on here, but not a big deal. It's not something you have to worry about. PL tone, I believe is 141. 141.3. I can't remember the PL tone for that repeater. We're just going to put this in here for now, because we're going to end up deleting it anyway. Okay. Now, whoop, we don't need digital code squelch. We're just going to put 141.3 in here. Okay. Just for the heck of it. I don't believe that's right, but it gets the channel correct, gets it set. You know, obviously you don't need the radio ID or anything like that. So now you have your channel name, you have your receive frequency, your transmit frequency, analog, all that fun stuff. You have your PL tones created. Go ahead and hit OK. Now it already detected the fact that I have a channel that already exists there. So hopefully, I don't care. I'm going to still click OK. Close out of that. Alright, so it's not going to let me create that channel. Anyway, that's how you program for repeaters. Alright. talk group. I don't understand why it would say something about a talk group. Let's see if I have anything checked here. No, it's just detecting. It doesn't want to make a duplicate channel. But now you see how to do it. If you hit OK and I didn't have that channel, then that channel would then in turn, where my cursor is on channel 40 over here, it would show up here. So, alright, now the only time that won't happen is when you are programming DMR channels. And the reason being is because you want to access different talk groups. If the repeater is capable of handling private IDs, then you're going to be able to duplicate more than one channel on that given frequency. And I cannot remember for the life of me where I put this one at. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is where the software stinks. It's just one of those things where the developers of this software just really didn't do a good job as far as making it user friendly. So, okay, so when you go to program for your DMR repeaters, all right, this is what you're going to have to do. We're going to kind of start from scratch, but since I already have the K3DO machine here in Frederick already programmed, here's your output and here's your input. So it has a +5 offset. There is no PL tone on most DMR repeaters. But you know, you get your receive frequency, you get your transmit frequency, you name your repeater just like you would with the analog repeater, but in channel type, this box right here, 5th one down from the top, you got to make sure you have it selected as digital. I have it on turbo. I don't know why, but I decided to transmit high power, and I think it's mainly because when you're in DMR digital formats there, they have a tendency to transmit at a lower power and all that fun stuff. So your radio ID will need to be in here, so make sure your radio ID is programmed into your computer. If you have more than one operator on your radio, you can also set up a code plug for them using their radio ID so they know who is talking on the radio. Yes, these radios are capable of that. I believe you can have at least 2 different radio IDs, which is your DMR identification number, your 7-digit number. Mine happens to be 3174087, and I use that as a private ID when I go through my hotspot, and I also use it as a talk group into the local repeater that actually supports that that feature. But as you can see down here, no PL tones. They don't even give it as an option. As you can see, it's shown as analog. Okay, so no PL tones for DMR. Alright, so here is the channel. You can make notes of how it's set up. Your color code for most repeaters will be on 1. You can also set up for time slot 1 or time slot 2. I have this on time slot 2, but you can change that feature on the radio. Now, in past videos, I've told you about static talk groups and things of that nature. And this being through the K3DO machine, I have my ID and my contact. And this is why I have it on time slot 2, because on time slot 1, the static talk group for that repeater is Maryland 3124. Okay. You want to have the etiquette of knowing what you're doing, so that way if there's a net meeting on any kind of DMR repeater like that, that you're not bleeding through on that time slot. Most times it'll just cause you to not be able to transmit, and a lot of times that static talk group, and almost every time, is going to have priority on that time slot. So if you want to talk on something other than that static talk group, use time slot 2. Let's go ahead and get back to our screen here. So time slot 2 for anything other than the static talk group. That's Just a given. You don't want to interfere with the static talk group. If it's not busy and you know there are no net meetings going on, okay, feel free to use time slot 1. But I always recommend time slot 2 on a public repeater. And you don't need a receive group list name when you are using repeaters or personal IDs. Okay, so we're going to close out of this, so you already know how the channel's set up. Now, here's the cool thing. Once you have your receive frequency and transmit frequency in, you've saved all the information that you need to save on here. You've hit OK. This screen then in turn you can close this screen out. Here's your newly made channel. Okay, now here's the cool thing. Right here, channel 700. When you want to duplicate another talk group and put it on that repeater, all you got to do is right click on the current made channel. So go ahead, copy, and go ahead and paste wherever you want. Now, since we're in DMR mode, I'm going to want this repeater to be basically in the same zone and the channel being in the same general area, so that way when you're in that zone, you know where that repeater is and you can switch to it. So we're going to paste it in there. Now, okay, you're saying, well, you just copied the line here. Absolutely not. That's where this software becomes really handy. I didn't just copy the line. Now double click on it. On the receives line, look, it copies everything perfectly. Digital, turbo mode, whatever. Now here's where it gets cool. All you have to do to change that channel for another talk group, go in here where it says contact on digital, click that, and then all your contacts come up. Your personal contacts, the worldwide contacts, worldwide talk groups, everything is in here. Okay, now I haven't updated this list. I don't plan on updating this list. If I do update this list, it'll be manually because there are more talk groups in here than I will ever use. So the only thing that's lacking are my personal contacts. But I do have them in here. And you can update them, and I'll show you how to do that on another video. Like I said, this one's just to get you started in the world of DMR. So let's see here. Where do we want to talk to? Alright, let's just say Canada. English speaking Canada. Alright, that's what we want, and check it out. You double click it and there you go. It shows what the talk group ID is. Now it says private call, but that's probably more like a public. So that's just how it's listed in here. So let's try a different one. Let's see if something comes up. Let's try where's 3148? Here we go. Texas Nexus. 3148 Texas. Here we go. And that's showing group call. So there you go. Now if anybody's in Texas and tuned to 3148 and you key down here from Maryland or whatever state you live in outside of Texas, you can talk to people in Texas. Now you have this all set up. Hit OK. And there you go. Now you got 3148 Texas that you could talk to off the same repeater. That channel is made. Now here's the other cool thing. The more channels that you have for one repeater like this, okay, let's say you program the 3124 in there. So let's say we create another channel, just paste, create another channel, put 3124 in here. Once you have 3124 in there, you can add these channels to a scan list. Okay, if any of these talk groups become active while you're scanning, works just like a scanner. Now normally most people are not going to be using these talk groups on that repeater. Okay, however, if somebody does, we already know 3124 is going to be the static talk group. So you already have that first channel programmed in. I recommend that wholeheartedly. The first channel you should use on DMR on whatever repeater you're trying to use its static talk group. That's always going to be the most active, and you'll always hear something on there. And if people aren't active, then Okay. Now let's say I want to use 3148 Texas. Obviously, that's not going to be an active channel on that repeater unless somebody keys down on time slot 2. And let's check the time slot on the one that we had just created. So the time slot 2. So there you go. All right. You have to key down on a repeater to access the talk group that's not static, unless that group has already been activated by another ham operator. So generally, you're only ever going to hear the static output. That's why I only, in my preferences, only create one channel for that DMR repeater, so I'm not wasting channel space. You can always go through your radio once your code plug is done and select the talk group that you want to talk to through your contact list. Because even when you're scanning, you know, unless that repeater is being utilized in such a way that you know, these talk groups are active, you know they're active talk groups on there, somebody's been activating, there's no point in programming them in because you're going to be the only one that hears them. So many people prefer so many different talk groups. Okay, so we're not going to save any of these when I'm done, and when I go to close out of the software, it'll show you. So now you got 3 channels. Now we figured out how to do channels. I'm going to show you how to do a Dmr Simplex. Well, actually, I'm just going to show you the code plug for the 2-meter Dmr Simplex frequencies. You can then, in turn, search the internet and get more information regarding the Dmr Simplex frequencies, because they are on the internet and widely available. I believe there are 2, and I have no idea where I programmed them in this code plug. They are in there. I just don't know where I put them. So I'm going down through a lot of stuff here. I think I may have paged up a little bit too much. Okay, there's my hotspot. Let's see how far down this has to go. I cannot for the life of me remember where I put them in the code plug. I don't believe they're down in the 700s. I know this is the slow way to do it, so bear with me, guys. After all, I am just an amateur. I am not a professional. That's why they call this amateur radio. Anyway, in the meantime, I will say that, you know, for all Dmr Simplex work, you want to have talk group 99. Okay, so here we are. Channel 750 and 751. I'm going to let you look at my code plug. Here's Dmr Simplex. I named this 145 7900. I use this one the most because it's in the middle of the band. That's where your antennas have, usually your store-bought antennas will have their lowest SWRs near the middle of the band. That's almost every antenna that I've ever experimented with. Give me a second. I'm going to wet my whistle here. Coffee is great. So as you can see, 14579, when you're transmitting, you're due 14579. That's what Simplex is all about. Digital, turbo, so you can reach out and touch someone. Bandwidth is always going to be narrowband in DMR, always. Okay, you always want to do transmit, always permit. Color code on the right side here is going to be color code 1, time slot 1, and no receive list. Now, somehow or another it comes up talk group 99. You do not have to type that in there. You don't have to do that at all. For some reason, the radio recognizes it and does it itself. 99 will come up because that's not a designated talk group. I don't believe I had to program that in there. So, receive group talk list, none. And it'll automatically read it as 99. So just make sure, don't add, do not, for Dmr Simplex, I'm going to stress this one more time, do not add a receive group list. If it shows a receive group list when you go to do your code plug, type in 99, it should come up none. Alright, digital encryption. You don't need any of that. Once again, if it's offered, which I don't know if it is, but if it is, you got to leave it off. It's against the law. So stay within the guidelines that the FCC gives to you. Okay, so there's your Dmr Simplex channels. The other one is 145, 5100, which is a little bit lower in the band. And if you have some of these better antennas, it'll work just fine. All right, so now you've programmed your channels. But then, you know, let's say you've programmed out-of-state repeaters. You've programmed stuff for your hotspot. You've programmed stuff for your local repeaters. This is where your zones come in. And this is why it's very important for you to name your channels. You don't want to just put stuff in there that doesn't make sense. You know, you want to be able to find these and localize them. So once you've created your channels, then you can either create a zone. You can create a zone here by double clicking, and I believe it's 250 that are offered. This is where I screwed up on my one video. There you go. 250 total zones that you can program. And yes, I am zipping around a little bit here and there, but we are at the bottom left of the zone. So 250. Alright, so let's go over here to the right side of the screen. Scroll all the way back up to the top. And I only have 7 zones, 7 zones. Yeah, I don't know why I skipped a zone, but as you can see, I named each zone for what I'm utilizing it for. Dmr Simplex, weather, DMR, crossband, analog. Now I should have renamed this analog repeater, and you can name these, absolutely. Now to add channels to your zone, and you want to dedicate it however you're going to utilize it, I would recommend definitely keeping your repeaters for one state separate from repeaters from another state, and name those zones per state. Okay, very simple. I should put in here Maryland repeaters instead of just analog, but I do have other stuff in here as an analog channel, but I already know they're all my Maryland repeaters. So go ahead and double click on the name of the zone. Now when you get into the name of the zone, you will see that there are available channels to be able to put into those zones. Literally, I do not have a whole lot of channels in here. We've already put some in here, but if you want to add any more channels to that zone, all you have to do is highlight that channel. Okay, and then you see this little arrow here in the middle. You just go click that, and it adds it to that zone. Isn't that easy? That's just completely easy. But now I'm screwing this up because it's not analog. So we're going to remove that by highlighting it and saying, okay, no, you can go back over here. So there you go. It's as easy as that. So whenever you decide to move channels, okay, see how it says channel 1 here? I don't believe that I ever named that channel the right way. Okay, it's actually 14, and I'm not sure, you know, this is your actual channel number. Okay, you're never going to be able to keep track of that. That's why it's important for you. Okay, here's one that we created, Ratchet Jaw. That's the one we just created. Okay, take that. We know that is analog simplex, so I'm going to put it over with my repeater information temporarily, and I'm not going to save any of this. So let's go ahead and click that. How about that? Isn't that awesome? Really easy, simple, easy. Then once you've added whatever channels you want to that particular zone, hit OK. And then it adds it to that zone. So I think there's a little bit of work going on in the farm. So it's very easy to create a zone. It's very easy, like, you know, I can highlight this. Nothing's in this zone, but I can name it, apply it, and that's how you create a zone. You just double click on the blank area and your zone will be created. Then you can also delete your zones as well, just by going over to that zone, right click, and look, you can delete. and it'll delete all the information out of that zone. You can start from scratch. So these are very important things to think about while you're programming your code plug. Make sure you have all the information you need when programming your code plug so that you know what's going to happen when you go to program that radio. Now, scan list. I haven't put anything on there. This is something I've never done. Now, it shows that there's 8 channels on there. Well, let's go to scan list 2. Now I can add whatever channels that I want to monitor in my scan list. Now, keep in mind, the scan list, for some reason, does not go hand in hand with your zones. Now, if it does, and there's a ham radio operator out there that can tell me that it does and how to do it, I've never done that yet. Now, I'd like to see that to be a possibility to where, you will only have to scan within your zone. That would be optimum. If that is possible to be set up that way, hey, you the viewer, let me know. I'm here to be critiqued, and I'm here to get the input from all the veterans out there that know what they're doing. Put it in the comments below, okay, and let me know, and then that way I don't look stupid. But right now, I don't know how to do that. So let's go ahead and get back up to our screen here. So you can add whatever channels you want to your scan list, and then once you've done that, you hit your OK button. And then here's the other thing that you're going to want to do. Once you've set it all up however you want to do your hotkeys. Now you can do in the 878 software, I don't believe it shows hotkey. Okay, here's hotkeys, and I don't know what all this is. P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. This is where this software varies. You can change the mode, what you want in there, and all that fun stuff. Okay, now here's what I found easier. In an optional setting, and I'm sorry, let me slow down. Over here on the left side in optional setting, okay, to program even on the face of the 878 radio, to program a function key, however you want to program it, it can be one of 4 keys, and especially the top key on the top of the radio, which is generally a bluish green button. Just go in here to optional setting, click key function, and this works also with the 878, but this is the 578 software, which gives you a lot more options for programming than the 878 will. But whatever options are available for the 878, utilize them. As you can see, short key P1 power, I don't know why that's on there. Okay, long key P1 button is scan, and they have a short and a long. Okay, P2 button, I have it for VFO or memory recall. I didn't assign anything off. I didn't assign anything for the P2. So P6, I definitely assign that short key. That'll change between your A and B, your top and bottom VFO modes. Okay, and you can just, it gives you every option. Like, look, short key channel selector, I have that off. And then it gives you what you can assign to it. Power, talk around, reverse, encryption, scramble. Which, be wary. Don't ever use this, guys. That's going to get you in a lot of trouble. Even though you're scrambling your frequency, it's still RF. They can track that, and you'll go to jail. There's no point in risking it. So, don't risk it. Don't ever do this. Not worth it. Okay? And you can do your VFO. Assign whatever button you want to this short key on the channel knob. Okay? So, all of this can be assigned. Okay. Digital monitor, which I haven't done yet. I've got to do that. I've got to assign one for a short key, because sometimes I'm monitoring things that I don't want to, and you want to turn your dual monitoring off and all that fun stuff. So generally, I don't like leaving my digital monitor on. There's just no point in that for me. Okay. So let's just say you've gotten this far. I hope I've been a help to people that have never used this information before. I'm doing the best I can with my limited knowledge. And like I said, this is a journey for me as well. I mean, I'm all new to all this. This past month, 24th, I was a ham operator for 1 year. And it's been great. It's been a fun journey. I've really appreciated like I said in my last video, the people that have taken me under their wings to help me to learn this stuff, what the differences are between wideband, narrowband, and what the difference is between the time slots and just DMR in itself, and even analog. I've come a long way. I know I have a long way to go. I am studying for my general's license, which I'm hoping happens real soon. Main reason I didn't is to not break a promise I made to my wife the year I got licensed, to not buy any radio equipment for 2 years. I'm kicking myself now, but you know what? It's helped me to slow down, to learn this information a little bit better, to share it to you, and to help others to try to get them interested in the hobby. So let's get back to the software real quick. So here we are back on the band here. Now, right now you're in optional settings. So we can come up here, go to common setting or channel setting. So now you have your code plug done. Let's say you have your code plug all written out. First thing you want to do is you're going to come over here. You want to save as. Now let's say this is your first code plug. Put a file name on there that's going to be very easy for you to find. Don't name it something oddball. I just gave it the name of my radio. Okay. Sometimes it'll come up with its own thing, but you can just save it. Save your button. I'm not going to save this because I'm not going to download it to the radio. But once that's saved, okay, you're going to hit save. I'm going to hit cancel. Save it. Save your code plug. Don't hit cancel. Save it. If you know everything's good, big rule of thumb, make sure you go over your code plug. Make sure there are no mistakes. Make sure you've got it programmed into your channels the way it's supposed to be. Once that's done and you have saved that, you can come up here to program. Or what you can do is check your COM port first and make sure your radio is on and turned on. Okay. Now you can see, just for the purposes to show you, I have my 578 plugged in right now. COM port 3 comes up. Okay. COM port 3 being there means that your radio is connected and is ready to be read or programmed. It's ready to be read or written. Okay. So to see if you're connected, it's this little bar right here next to the little radio icon. This will show that you're connected. Okay, if you're not connected, you need to make sure that is. If you are connected, sometimes it'll ask you the first time to choose the COM port. Most times I've plugged this thing in 3 different ports on my computer and it's always come up COM port 3. I don't know if that's my computer, how it was set up, but COM 3. So that's that. Alright, so we know we're hooked up, we know we're ready to be read. So then when you come in here, you're going to write to radio. Alright, now if you're doing initial programming, you need to do both your digital contact list and others. So let's say write to radio, right? Do I wish to continue? Yes, I would normally do that. Now 2 things are going to come up when you go to do that. Okay. It's going to say, do you want to do your digital contact list and all others? If it's the first time, you have to select both. I'm not going to go any further than this because I don't want to ruin the code plug on my radio. Okay, so once you say do both, now you only have to do that. You only have to do that one time when you're initially programming the radio. I will tell you that it's glitchy. It can be a pain in the butt. Sometimes it doesn't write properly. So go in once everything is made, check your zones, check your programming, make sure it's done. While it's writing to the radio will indicate on the screen, hey, don't mess with me, don't turn me off, because Something's communicating with me that's going to be important to you. So don't mess with the radio. Let it go. Once the programming is done, the radio will reboot itself. Once it's rebooted, it'll power itself back on. You're good to go. Oh, let me show you one more thing, just to give you a little bit of customization here. So once you're back in your software, and do this before you set your code plug. This is not important, but pretty cool. Go into your optional settings here. Okay. Now your power on right here. Okay. Click on that. When you turn your radio on, you want to choose custom character, or you can choose a custom picture. So if you have a picture you want to import, when you turn your radio on, guess what? That picture will come up on the screen. I just chose custom character because I'm not there to look at my radio for pictures. I'm there to use it as a radio. So when my power comes on my radio, my call sign comes on. So that way, if you're like some of the friends that I have up here, if you all have Anytone 578s and somebody decides that they have misplaced their radio and somebody picked up somebody else's radio, they could turn it on and be like, uh-oh, I have somebody else's radio. I got Bob's radio, or I got Gary's radio. So you can make sure your call sign is there, so when it's powered on, guess what? They know whose radio it is. You know it's your radio, and it's just a cool little function there. I mean, I thought y'all might like to see that, so you can do your custom characters there. So everybody, everything else that I've done at this point, programming all this software, it's all been experimental for me. I've had a lot of help with Tony, KC3PRI. Major thumbs up to you and a major thank you to you. Sandy, KB3EOF, shout out to you as well. I appreciate everything that you guys have shown me, and I'm trying to pay it forward to the new hams and even some of the veteran hams that are stuck on analog or FT8 or, America Link or something like that, when, not a lot of people have taken the plunge into DMR radio. However, it is getting popular, people. It really is. Anytone's been doing a really good job keeping up with the increase of private IDs and, just overall keeping their stuff up to date, so they can meet the demands of the people that are coming into the hobby, that are getting new DMR IDs. They're expanding the memories. They're adding features that they need to add to keep up with the people that are actually getting into the DMR aspect of things. So it's really good. I hope this has been a little bit more informative. I know it's very long-winded, but I just want to make sure that I'm providing the best services to my fellow ham operators as I can. I love this hobby. I hate sitting here on a computer. I hate computers. I've spent about 6 hours trying to figure out how to use the software. Hopefully this video's coming good. This is my first attempt. I'm going to review this video when I'm done, and if it was worth it to you, I'm really hoping that this will be a little bit easier to see than what Bridgecom puts out on their videos. They do try to help, but they're so quick. They don't explain what they're doing, why they're doing it. So let's go from here. If I have any other issues that come up with the programming or the radio, I'll get right on that for you guys. I appreciate your time, and I know this was a long one, and this is why I said the first time I could be here 4 to 6 hours just showing. So we're already, according to my OBS software here, we're already 50 minutes in. I hope you guys have taken the time to watch this video all the way through. This was my first request video, so I hope it was informative. You all have a fine day, and we will see each other again soon. This is KC3QPJ, and I'm signing off. 7-3.